Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, we have a very interesting panel to discuss urban mobility. Uh, on one hand, we have uh, the Delhi Metro. On the other hand, we have uh, Professor Geetam Tiwari and Ms. Ghate for sustainability. So it's a complete panel. I would like to start with Dr. Vikas Kumar. Delhi Metro has had a long journey and successful journey, right? And it has tried to solve urban mobility problem in Delhi. Now, standing today in 2026, how do you think it should reinvent itself to sort of contribute to solving the modern today's urban mobility problems?
The Delhi Metro has catered for in fact, has come up, I would say, as a shining beacon for solving the problem of urban mobility for Delhi NCR region. And here I would again say that the principles which we followed was that have efficient and modern systems, design it for the customers, and give a better quality services at which and also sustainable. So these were in our DNA, that for environment also our technologies should be such that environmental degradation is not there. And as a result, today we are having almost more than, say, 7 million journeys a day. So now looking henceforth, when the network has become more dense, actually I would say the vision should be that if a person is there at any point in this NCR region, then if he walks in any direction, he should be able to get to a metro station within maybe 500 meters of walk. So that should be the vision. Then probably the problem of transportation would be over, and we are working towards that direction. In fact, now phase 4 is still, priority corridors would be complete by December 26, that is 65 kilometers would be added. Presently we are operating around 394 kilometers of the network, and phase 4, other 3 corridors will also come up, which would add another around 50 kilometers more. And also at the same time, phase 5A has been sanctioned recently in December, and it consists of 16 kilometers, which is through the Central Vista region, and remaining phase 5B is also with the government under various stages of processing. Right now, the DPR has been submitted to the governments. So we hope that by the end of phase 5, whole of Delhi NCR will become a very good network, a mesh of network, I would say, where this vision of a person walking 500 meters would be achieved.
Professor Tiwari, I would like to bring you into this. Does your idea of urban mobility and sustainable mobility align with this idea that anywhere in the Delhi NCR, a person should be able to take a metro?
You know, for understanding, thank you. To provide, you know, the vision for our cities has to be what kind of trips and what percentage of trips will be on public transport, because public transport is what makes it, from various angles of sustainability, we meet that demand. And many things that Mr. Vikas Kumar also mentioned. But however, whether metro alone can do that is the question we have to answer and understand correctly. And so basically, there are two things we have to look at when we are looking at whether a person is willing to use a metro-like technology or not. It, of course, depends on safety, security, comfort, everything that Mr. Vikas Kumar listed. However, it also depends on whether I can reach my destination as fast as possible. And for short trips, an extremely efficient metro system like DMRC also is not able to do it, because that is the nature of the technology. And very quick analysis I can show you is that even if a metro stop was only 5 minutes away from my home, and I am only going to travel 3 kilometers, majority of the trips in any city, by the way, are short trips. Even in Delhi, 70% trips are shorter than 10 kilometers, and 45% trips are shorter than 5 kilometers. So let's say 3 kilometers, you calculate a very, very efficient metro system will take about 18 to 20 minutes to reach your destination. And the reason is not because the metro is not efficient, it is very efficient, safe, but because I take 5 minutes to reach a stop, few minutes I spent to, almost 5 minutes I spent to go up or down because it is not at grade. And then I take the metro, the frequency is excellent, every 2 minutes you have a train, you can get it. Calculate it, you will take at least 18 minutes to reach your destination, because there are these access egress and you have to go up and down. So a quick analysis shows that for these short trips, we have to actually have other systems which are at grade. Bus is an excellent system to meet the demand. We could think about trolley buses which are also at grade. And for really short trips, it's your walking and bicycling. So the short answer is, if we are looking for a complete sustainability vision and everybody using a very comfortable system, it has to be a strongly integrated system. Okay. And that is where we have faulted with not just metro, and I don't think that this is DMRC's job. DMRC has done excellent execution, but it is the overall planning of the public transport of a city. How are you going to integrate bus, bicycling, IPT, other forms of transport, etc. in this vision? We do not even have a common ticket today, after 20 years of metro.
Right. In fact, that's a very important point. It's nothing to do with just Delhi, but all our metros, our urban cities are facing this kind of an issue. I come from Mumbai and can vouch for it that we have a very efficient local train system, but to supplement it with all kinds of other transport that is being planned, and to provide an integrated connectivity, that is where the issue is. Ms. Akshima Gate, your views on sustainable development, because you have been working a lot on that particular field. And are you happy with the way which we have been, we are trying to convert ourselves into the EVs, for instance? What is holding us back, and what are the solutions for that?
Yeah, no, thanks. And first of all, it's an honor to share stage with Professor Geetam Tiwari, who's been, not just for me, but for a lot of us who've been in the space of sustainable mobility, somebody to look up to in terms of how we think of mobility. So, and also, Mr. Vikas Kumar for all that, DMRC has done. And I think somewhere I feel the, vision of sustainable mobility, if I may say so in a very personal note, we've kind of lost touch to a large extent what it, we had thought it should look like. And, we just heard Professor Tiwari talk about it, that it is a mix of, meeting the mobility needs, aspirations of different kinds of commuters. You have people who make short trips, you have people who make long trips, people who can afford, people who have challenges accessing different kinds, add grade, not grade, steps in a bus. So, you're dealing with a community, a city, which has very, very different needs. And in that context, if we see, while a lot of aspects of sustainability, are something back of our mind, I think mobility is something that is most felt, it is most visible in terms of our experience, and sadly it has become the most painful too in terms of the visibility of it and in terms of experience of it. So, an ideal vision that I think most of us, not just people who've studied mobility, would aspire for, all of us, is mobility systems that are accessible, that are affordable, that are available when I want them. And hence it is, not a lot of costly infrastructure only that is coming up in our cities. It is a mix of simple, low-cost solutions, good footpaths, cycle tracks. I cycle. I recently started cycling. I do 15 kilometers every day only because I have a cycle track and I feel safe to do it versus, if somebody asked me to cycle on the arterial roads in Delhi. So I think we need that vision and a very integrated public transport system that has all the features of, accessibility, affordability, and how I kind of also experience in terms of not just a ticket, like for women, safety, etc. On the point on EVs, I think that's something we cannot turn our backs to. Electric mobility is happening, not just in India, it's happening globally. We have an ecosystem that is giving us answers for cleaner solutions. So in my view, it is definitely a very positive momentum that is getting built up in our cities around more penetration of electric vehicles. For a long time, we have struggled to find answers in terms of pollution in our cities. And we've seen, we've been kind of also understanding what are the sources of pollution, for example, in Delhi or in many other cities, two-wheelers, three-wheelers. I would welcome them to be on zero tailpipe emissions versus CNG, versus diesel, versus petrol. So to me, that is welcome because it is giving us cleaner air to breathe and at the same time, helping us at the back end create an economy which is aligned with our non-fossil vision that we are envisioning as a country.
Dr. Kumar, I think the concern that is emerging from what we discussed so far is that metro is an excellent system, but how do you bring people to the metro, right? Or, it's the last mile connectivity problem. So not just in Delhi, in metro systems in general, what do you think? Because I know Metro tried running buses at one point, and then it had to sort of, give it up. So it's a problem that remains unsolved, right? So what is your take on this? Not just Delhi, but how do we bring people to metro?
See, I'll tell first of all what has been told, that a mix is definitely required, and what is suitable for what sort of demand has to be there, as Professor Tiwari says. Now, talking about last mile connectivity, that is an issue in metro definitely, and you should have a seamless last mile connectivity. As it was said that even ticketing system is not unified. So, National Common Mobility Card is one step in that direction, which is being in fact popularized. Now we have implemented it, and DTC also is in the process. So the last mile connectivity, again, as pointed out, there should be a comprehensive mobility plan for the whole region, where these aspects should be taken care of. And then this last mile connectivity, whether it is by a bus or by a e-vehicle or by two-wheelers, so this has to be there, and it has to be a seamless one, so that one gets from his origin place to the public transport, and then again similarly to the destination. In this direction, I would say that we are collaborating with private players. That is, Bharat Taxi is there, and then Rapido is there, to provide door-to-door service. We have, in fact, right now we have been shortlisted also for a global award in this aspect, what we have tried to, in fact, do, and we are going to promote it. Like, if you go on our app, Sarthi app, you just have to say that I want to go to this particular destination. It will again provide you the last mile option of a bike, and then the ticket of metro, and then again the first mile and the last mile options. And you can also see your ride, where it is when you, like, who is coming to pick you up, say. So that
One
is
app
there.
to book the entire.
Yes,
end-to-end.
and you can book the entire journey in the same app.
Excellent.
So this is there, and I think this will get popularized. Probably there are issues of quality of service should be there, security should be there, and the proper frequency should be there.
Reliability should be there.
Yes, yes. So, but we are after this. In fact, our Honorable Minister, he has taken this as, he is shortly coming up with maybe this last mile connectivity options, he said. So here definitely private players would be roped in so that we together provide this sort of service to the people of NCR.
Okay, great. I would like to bring in Professor Tiwari here. We have talked, I think, at length about metro, which is something that has changed the transport system in the country in a big way. I mean, in fact, across the country, the Delhi metro particularly has been looked upon for a very long time as a prime example of how you could bring about those changes. But the big question is, how do we view urban development as a very comprehensive thing, where we ensure that every part of it, every cog in the wheel, functions in a way which supports, the customer, the person who is using it ultimately, the end user, because the piecemeal solutions are not really working. And how do you do it sustainably? Abhishek, you wanted to add that?
No, because I guess what we are trying to say is that there are obviously, solutions in little boxes, like, you make
Absolutely,
you make
yeah.
footpath, and then obviously you have a fleet of rickshaws. And if you remember, I mean, for example, Delhi had the bus corridor, right, which did not work. I wanted to ask you, Professor Tiwari, why doesn't this bus corridor approach succeed in a country like India, where it is, it has had some kind of success elsewhere?
There are a lot of questions to be answered now. Actually, first I want to also react to what Mr. Vikas Kumar said and what Akshima mentioned, that in any public transport system, accessibility is extremely important. You cannot use bus or metro without going to a bus stop. As far as accessibility of metro is concerned, you talked about all the technology, taxis, Rapido, two-wheeler taxi, etc. The most important access trip is walking. Even in Delhi metro, we have counted 65% trips are walking access trips. And only in distant stations, which are some in Gurgaon, that you have 10 or 15% people bringing their car and then using the metro. So I think when the planning of metro is done, if it is done as a public transport system, not as introducing a technology, then you would have to think about how are you going to create these walking paths. And it is very simple, because your metro station is every 1 kilometer apart. If around every metro station you take a radius of 500 meters and decide I am also going to redo the road here and make it bicycle and pedestrian friendly, automatically the whole corridor becomes that. And in terms of money, it's nothing, absolutely 0.0001% of your total budget of what you're spending for 1 kilometer of creating a metro corridor. It's not a question of money. Then the question comes, why is it not happening? Because I've had this discussion with Mr. Sridharan also. The question is this, that actually there are a lot of governance issues in our urban system. And that is where we have to solve, because when we think about integration at planning, integration at design, so when metro corridor is being designed, are we thinking that there will be a bus stop also? And are we creating spaces for three-wheelers and e-rickshaws that they will come and stand here? Right now, no. But this has to become integrated. And eventually we are working on the road. Metro, generally, DMRC is given, okay, you do overground or underground. But the current method is that the road right away is given, but you must return it in the same state that you received it. So I think some of those things, those conditions have to change. So the short and with new technology, we talk about AI and data. So much of really good options are available if we start integrating through information technology. When the next bus is coming, I am taking a metro, but I know within 5 minutes I'll get a bus. So you don't have to run special buses for metro. If you have a strong bus system in the city and you have a common information system, in your app, you could actually also see that I get down here and at this station, I have a bus available. So governance issue is, do we have that integrated authority which is doing planning and designing? DMRC is an excellent institution for implementing the project. But there is someone who has to have a vision for the city. I will have 20% trips on metro and 60% trips on buses, and together I will solve the problem for the city.
Okay. I think Mr. Vikas Kumar would have something to say about the suggestions she's made earlier.
Definitely. In fact, if you remember, I started saying that a person should be able to walk and get to the metro station or the public transport. That is very much required, and for that what she says, that the infrastructure over there, with not much of investment, it can be done. So again, the question comes back to the governance, that a comprehensive mobility plan should be there, and to execute that plan, again, respective agencies should be there, or a unified, I would say, metropolitan transit authority should be there, where these decisions are taken and then in a time-bound manner they are executed. As far as we have made certain progresses in this, like the policy itself now, when you go in for a DPR for a metro line, the policy you have to now, they have made it mandatory. Earlier it was not there, so earlier stations never had this multimodal integration. Now we plan for a multimodal integration, but again, the constraint is the space availability and that space ownership also. So respective agencies have to do their part, but we have a multimodal integration now, and many stations are being planned in this manner, where bus stop or all modes of transport, may be pick and drop, taxi, auto, three-wheeler, two-wheelers, these spaces are there. So this is what, but the thing is that this unified metropolitan transit authority should be there, and the comprehensive mobility plan should be there for Delhi. And Delhi, the issue again comes to the governance, that so many agencies are involved, that it should be a unified authority who should be able to take these decisions and execute it.
I mean, what it means is that if I buy, I should be able to buy one ticket and access all the
Yes,
modes of,
yes.
like we do, let's say, in Europe.
Yes, it should be like that.
I want to bring in Ashima ji. We talk a lot about EV and EV adoption, and is the goal to sort of make people switch to EV, or is the larger goal to make people switch to public transport and leave their personal mobility?
Yeah, great question. I think the goal eventually I think is cleaner air. To me, that is the most critical part, because we all know transport in whatever form today, it is the big contributor to air pollution. So we do want, we just heard that there is a significant part of trips in our city which are non-motorized, cycling, walking. They are good for us. We need to figure out how to retain that share. But for the motorized part, which is increasing, I think for me the simple philosophy is, can it be clean? So for me the goal is cleaner air, and in that sense, I think the important thing to note is that we should be using e-mobility, which to some extent I feel positively hopeful that we have already started doing. We should use electric mobility wave as an opportunity to fix our urban mobility systems. We are seeing that with, for example, electric buses penetrating into cities. It is solving for public transport, which has always been kind of, lacking in our cities. We've struggled, we've seen for years, to get a few buses, it is so difficult. But maybe electric mobility is latest in fashion. At least it is helping cities get buses. And on top of that, these are buses which are not emitting fumes at their tailpipe. So I think to me, the goal should be how to use this opportunity of EVs to enhance our public transport system, to transition, the sales that are happening on ICE, internal combustion engine, to cleaner engines, and to figure out eventually that as a system, as a city system, how all of this is kind of, integrated and serving the city versus, we just heard, serving a technology. So to me, it's not about just a technology. And the last thing, I'll just pick up from what was said earlier about integration. I think so far, it's very important for us to note that so far, integration in the context of transportation systems was essentially within transportation system. You're talking about, public transport integration, walking, cycling, you're staying within mobility. But now with electric mobility, new fuels, we are also now going to face a new kind of challenge / opportunity of integrating transport as a sector to other sectors. For example, power sector. Now, mobility is also about how do we deploy charging infrastructure. So a comprehensive city vision that we are talking about should be supportive of how will people charge, how will buses charge, what does this mean for our discoms, what does this mean for our power planning, how would we integrate renewables. So I think for us, we are evolving, in terms of our urban mobility system. So, and we should see how we use really EVs not just as a technology shift that is happening, but as an opportunity for the mobility sector for us to be able to fix some of the things that we've not been able to fix in the past.
Ms. Gate, can we do this as a template across all the urban, cities that we're talking about, or you think that each city would have to have its own, different solution? Like, I'm sure Mumbai would have, or Kolkata would have a different, need an approach compared to Delhi, for instance.
Yeah, I think it has to, they will know, I feel they cannot be a one-size-fits-all kind of a solution for, at least, seeing how we look at electric mobility in the context of urban mobility. It has to be customized to the needs, to the kind of, the way a particular city moves. And we all know every city in India moves very, very differently, whether it's on the passenger side or the cargo. But having said that, I'm sure that if something is working somewhere, like if, a particular solution of, how we've deployed charging infrastructure, for example, is starting to work in Delhi in its e-bus depots, how they're scheduling their buses or how they're deploying their, charging infrastructure. I don't think there is any harm in trying to see what best can be taken and adapted in a Bangalore in terms of that business model or that PPP model. So I think there is enough that can be also kind of replicated, but more adapted to that city's needs.
So these are also some global learnings that you talked about, because
I would honestly say the electric mobility, how we are solving for India, is a very local thing. It's very difficult to learn from outside the world, because if you see China is about electric cars. Europe and US are about electric cars. India is about electric three-wheelers, cargo to begin with. It's about e-rickshaws. It's about electric two-wheelers. Now it's about electric buses. And I feel we are solving it, understanding our context. So while we can learn from global, I mean, it's a good thing to know what's happening around the world. I don't think we should be replicating. We can figure out our own solutions.
Dr. Kumar, uh, what one of the things, one of the barriers to public transport sometimes is the affordability, right? How do you keep fares low or affordable while balancing your books? Delhi Metro is a commercial entity, right? And not just metro, we're talking about buses. How do we keep running buses and that they're feasible as well as keeping the fares low? These two sound like two different opposing things, isn't it?
See, a public transport has to be affordable. If you increase the fares to such an extent that people are discouraged, then it is not serving the purpose. And the public transport, the main purpose is, if you see, to reduce the congestion, to reduce the, I would say, if with the advent of EVs, to reduce the fossil fuel consumption also, which will indirectly reduce the carbon footprint, and also accidents, I would say, quality of life improvement. So lot of benefits are there. If you straight away go into the monetary terms that, okay, so much of earning, you should try to run your system very efficiently and provide the quality of service. Rest, I would say, from somewhere or other, like say non-fare box revenue, it should be supplemented, the operations, rather than going to the extent that it has to be a moderate mix, or I would say a well planned decision regarding the fare, which would definitely look into the aspect of affordability so that people are not driven away from the public transport. But at the same time, this the financial viability needs to be looked into, and for this, as I said, non-fare revenues. Then, like in Delhi Metro, what we are trying to do now is we have recently started a company called Delhi Metro International Limited, and the aim is we now have a lot of expertise in executing and O&M also. We are one of the largest metro systems in the world and running very efficiently at a punctuality of 99.95% and the reliability of the same level, not less than any other metro in the world. I would say we rank in the top 3 if we compare in the world.
I think that deserves a warm round of applause for the Delhi Metro.
So we decided that we will use this expertise elsewhere as other companies come into India to do the O&M. So recently we, in fact, competed and we won 2 contracts, one in Mumbai and one in Chennai for the O&M. So that is there. So this is the way we can have more revenue and which will sustain our financial position. But if you see the benefits which, in fact, there was a study conducted by Terry itself, where the benefits which have accrued by metro to the city, if you monetize it on the term principles on which the project was appraised, if you monetize it, the return annually would be, say, to the tune of, most pessimistic is 8,000 crores annually. That is pessimistic. So that return it has given to the society already.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can, sure, sir.
Ashima ji wanted to.
Yeah, maybe a final word from Mr. Tiwari. Yeah, because ultimately the bottom line is, we need to
What is the blind spot in urban planning that, everybody is missing because everything is known. So what's the blind spot?
No, blind spot is really our urban governance structure. We talk about sustainability, achieving SDG goals, there are 6 directly related to mobility. But if you look at a city, Today in our cities, we don't have that structure. People who can think have any long-term vision. Our bureaucrats get transferred within. If the good one will get transferred in 18 months. So where is the question of long-term vision? Who's responsible for that? And I think we are in big trouble because, I mean, your title was how urban India is moving. We should achieve, of course, it's, we are targeting more than 50% people living in urban India, but I don't have to give any numbers. Everybody knows, what our urban mobility is causing: air pollution, asthma, traffic injuries, and of course, on top of it, congestion. So I think we really have to be serious about it, and we have to start thinking that different types of cities we will have to create those structures where long-term planning is possible. And along with that, then how we can implement it in more than 400 cities, which are just about 5 lakh population. Metro will not have any place there. We will have to invest heavily in buses. In our large cities, even cities like Delhi and Mumbai, we have to have extremely strong bus system well integrated with metro. Otherwise, we have seen in Delhi, you said all the numbers, after 394 kilometers of metro in Delhi and carrying 7 million trips, we are on top of the most air polluted city in the world. And we are still killing 4 people every day on Delhi streets. So I think it's a very serious thing, and we have to think about financing transport, urban transport in a very different way.
Okay.
Mr. Vikas already said that you cannot expect revenues, fare box revenues to support it. We have to have urban transport funds to support these systems.
Okay, so I think we can go on. There is a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
The time is up. So a big round of applause to all the 3 speakers.